Hello and welcome to your Monday night podcast here on Four Lads Had a Dream. My name's Andrew and I'm joined tonight by two of my very favourite co-hosts, Kenny and Davey. Only one big bit of news tonight, folks, and that is that Steven Gerrard has withdrawn himself from contention, let's say, from the Rangers managerial race after meetings with the clubs, after all the noise, which we had all heard, was quite positive. Saturday evening, where we get the news that he has withdrawn himself from the process. Now, no side has confirmed exactly the reason why it's broken down. Lyndon, I will get to you in a second, but I'll just say that the reason that we're late is because Kenny decided that he had to take a phone call as we were going live, because, you know, he's too important to actually podcast for the rest of us. The point being, we don't know exactly why this is broken down. The Rangers Review article came out earlier today, and it did say that there were some doubts that Steven Gerrard had about the potential structure that he would be working within. Although he's worked with directors of football before, he's never worked under a director of football before. So, Kenny, I'll come to you first, just because, you know, I like picking on you. Obviously, it doesn't leave Rangers in a particularly great position. It's not a good look for the club. Are you here? Are you here with us? But yeah, where do you think this leaves us? Let me just unmute you, Kenny. There we go.
You there?
I'm here.
Not in a good place, Andrew. It's bad news, isn't it? I mean, let's not kid ourselves on. I think the board have put all their eggs in one basket, and I think they're sitting a little bit perplexed at this minute in time, or they have been over this weekend. What I really don't get about it, probably the same as everybody else, Andrew, is that I can't understand why Steven Gerrard's came over to have these talks, knowing that the structure is in place, and then had these 2 days of talks and then said that I'm not convinced by the structure. So that, for me, if you try to read between the lines, Andrew, it probably says that there's an issue with perhaps individuals more than anything else, where can I work with that person? Can I work with certain individuals? And if that's the case, then for me, that's on the owners. This should have been ironed out way before you even get to talks. Due diligence is a wonderful thing, Andrew, and it needs dealt with and it needs done. And for me, I think the club just looked amateurish and embarrassing this weekend. I'm really at my wit's end with it, and I just find the whole thing kind of farcical. And yes, I am very pissed off, Andrew, and apologies because, as I say, I've got a cat going mental at the side of me there. That's what was going
on. Yeah, Davey, it doesn't leave the club in a particularly good spot. Andrew Wilson from the comments actually makes the point that, you know, Cheryl talked about this on the Friday night podcast. You know, putting all your eggs in one basket, pinning all your hopes, as we appear to have done so, on Steven Gerrard is not a good look. It's not healthy, because this can happen. Nothing's done until it's done. Gerrard will have had his own reasons for stepping away. We cannot know those for sure. What I would say is that if this is a job that he truly wanted, then he'd have it, because by all accounts, the club are willing to do a lot to make things work for him. If he really wanted the job, I think he'd have it. But for whatever reason, he's chosen to walk away.
Yeah, well, as the way the week went on last week, it was as if he was getting anointed, wasn't it? So we had Gerrard lining up that interview with Rio Ferdinand, which was recorded before Martin was sacked, but he knew fine well Martin was going to get sacked sooner rather than later, didn't he? And what were all the things he said in it? I've got unfinished business. I had the perfect setup at Rangers. I need a club the next time that is out to win trophies, and that's the kind that suits me. It's almost as if he was actually just applying for the job on a podcast, basically. And then once Martin was sacked, the open letter that the American owners put out talked about they're going to look for leadership and skill set. And you think, I wonder who that's talking about. And then 2 days later, Gerrard's flying in from the Middle East to meet them. And you think, this whole thing's just been set up. It's predetermined, it's preordained. And even after 2 days of talks, it still seemed preordained. And everything we were hearing was so positive. And that's what makes the whole thing about the timing wasn't right is just a complete nonsense. I mean, you need to have a head that zips up the back to believe that it was something to do with timing. It's absolutely nothing to do with timing. I don't know what it is. I know that there are some who think it's to do with Kevin Thelwell's role in recruitment and Gerrard wanting to have the final say and Thelwell not getting into that, and he wants it to be more collaborative. It might be that. I really don't know. I had it in my head maybe that after spending 20 million in the summer, that the Americans couldn't finance a rebuild in January that he might think we need, and it might be something like that. But for whatever it was, now that it's fallen through, as Kenny says, it's made us look absolutely amateurish. And I hate saying it after all the positivity of the summer, but I'm struggling to think of a decision that the new ownership and the new leadership structure has actually made in the time that they've been in place that hasn't taken us backwards rather than taken us forwards. It all goes back to their initial head coach decision in June, which is the cloud over everything. And I think as we go on and talk about potential future candidates and what they're going to do next, the cloud that hangs over that is that one decision they made in June. And that's the one why they need to get it right this time.
I think that's the most important thing here, Davey, which is that this, again, is something that it doesn't reflect well on the club hierarchy, right? Because we got plenty of, mood music. We got plenty of noise from the club. Nothing official, nothing confirmed, and I do want to stress that. But all the mood music was positive from the club about this. Everything that was being rumoured, everything that was being leaked was looking positive. To then have this all fall apart on Saturday doesn't look good. It doesn't make Rangers look like they're in control of the narrative. Stuff like this can happen for whatever reason. We don't know if it's personal or professional reasons why Gerrard's knocked us back. Could be anything. Could be he just doesn't want to leave his, new grandkids alone or something like that. We don't know for sure. And we won't know unless the club come out and say something or Steven Gerrard comes out and says something. Right now, neither of them are talking. But we move on. At the moment, Stevie Smith is going to be taking the game against Dundee United unless something changes. So it's time to look at the alternatives. The name that has been most heavily linked so far has been Danny Rohl. Obviously, there's going to be some interesting comparisons to make with the manager we've just got rid of. Young coach has a strong idea about how he wants to play. But I think, Kenny, the indications are that he's performed at a better level in terms of how well he's coached, in terms of, being a bit more pragmatic. Win percentage doesn't look great, but then it's Sheffield Wednesday. We managed to get Gassama off of them for £2.5 million, which is a steal, given that he's looked like a really good player in our team. So it's safe to say that it's a club where it would be difficult to excel any more than he has. So yeah, he's one of the names who's been strongly linked. Certainly a lot of noise has been made around that. But where are you currently on him, I guess, in general?
For me, I've got massive reservations about Danny Rohl. Not because I don't think he's a good coach. I've no doubt the guy's a good coach. His background is pretty exceptional. I think it's RB Leipzig, Bayern Munich, German national team, Sheffield Wednesday. His record at Sheffield Wednesday is okay for Sheffield Wednesday. It's no more than that, and we can't suggest it's good at all. I think it's a 38% win rate. Different win rates are a kind of weird thing because it makes no difference, or it's of no relevance to us what he's done at Sheffield Wednesday, to be honest. For me, it's one of those things that we've seen Russell Martin come from effectively that kind of background, the Championship, if you like, with much more experience of it, and get eaten alive up here. Rohl is younger. He's got less experience. It's only with one club as a head coach. And I think, if I'm being honest, mate, I think he'd get eaten alive up here. I genuinely do. But I think with all of probably clocked the interviews, I think it was after a Preston game last season where he's talking about XG and we get more XG than that. That's not going to work up here. And it is the new modern way of looking at things. It's just a different way of saying we created more chances than them. We don't care. It is that simple at Rangers. If you create more chances and you don't win a game, you're going to get slaughtered for it because you should be winning that game. So for me, it's a difficult one because if he gets the job, then welcome aboard. And I hope it's like everybody. I hope it really works well for him. I have massive fears about it because I just don't see that being a grounding or a CV or one of those things that makes me think that he's a Rangers manager or a Rangers head coach. I just can't see it at all. I just don't think he's done enough. Very quickly on the Gerrard thing, just to come back to that, Andrew, that rumour that Davey was talking about Kevin Thelwell, and it might be an issue with that. I would actually think it's more a case of if the structure is in place and it's not budging, we have to consider this about Steven Gerrard. Steven Gerrard was given the final say by Ross Wilson and Mark Allen before on the transfers. Now, there was a committee type thing that it was based on, but he would have the final say in who came into his squad. Now, if you're being realistic about it, Kevin Thelwell naturally would have a say, but if he's turning around and feeling that perhaps Dan Purdy, a 31-year-old, and Robbie Thelwell, a 26-year-old, have got more say than he has, there's not a cat's chance in hell he's going to take that. And neither should he, to be perfectly honest. And that's kind of where I'm at with all of it at the minute. This should have been ironed out well before now. We have wasted an international break here.
Yeah, we're a weekend, Davey. No further forward, realistically. I think because we went so heavy on Gerrard early on. Obviously, Rohl's the one who's being linked at the moment, but there are others who are in the mix as well. Reports today that Kevin Muscat was strongly favoured by the Rangers board as well. I think the question there is always going to be over his European experience because while he has been successful, he's got great win percentages and whatnot, but it's not been in a European league. I know that one of our podders certainly is very excited about him, but I think he's more of a left-wing candidate. I think in terms of closeness to the Scottish game, so that's an interesting one for me.
It is. I think that there's a lot of similarities. It's probably why Muscat has been linked to Rangers every time since Postecoglou came to Celtic. And his background is very similar, isn't it, in terms of where he's managed and the success that he's had. I remember him as a player. I'm sure Kenny remembers him as a player as well. I'm sure if you do, Andrew. You've been the young pup of the three tonight.
I remember games where he wasn't allowed to play. So.
Yeah, when he wasn't suspended, he was one of the most aggressive, dirtiest, fiercest players you could ever have. Sneakiest, dirtiest players you've ever seen in your life. And apparently he's taken that kind of must-win attitude into his coaching career, in that he absolutely hates losing. He would do anything to win a game of football. And I quite like that. I must admit, I didn't like it as those traits in him as a player. But I think those traits as a manager is actually not too bad, in truth. I think he ticks quite a few boxes, actually. He's played for the club, won a treble while he was here. He's won trophies in 3 different leagues. He's managed a lot of games. He takes no prisoners. I think there's a lot of things that I think he's better suited than Danny Rohl is in a lot of ways. As far as Rohl's concerned, I think if we'd employed him in the summer instead of Russell Martin, you never know what tune he would have got out of that squad, because if you look at his coaching background compared to Martin's, it's night and day. It's night and day. But it's just so unfortunate that he'd be coming from the same league. He's a similar age. He's came from clubs that haven't won anything. And I just think people automatically just tar him as the second Russell Martin, and he's absolutely nothing like Russell Martin. He's nothing like him, apart from the fact he's a young coach. But I just think the time is all wrong to risk him. I think we need somebody who's more of a proven winner, somebody who's got broad shoulders, who can take the flak and who can give out the flak as well. And Muscat fits that better for me than Rohl does. I'm not saying he's perfect. In fact, no doubt in the comments tonight there'll be 6 or 7 or 8 different names getting thrown in because there isn't a favoured candidate. And the fear I've got is that there's going to be a section of the support who, for as long as it's not Steven Gerrard, they're going to be unhappy. It doesn't matter who it is. And I fear a little bit that over the next few weeks, regardless of who's in the dugout, they're in for a bit of a hard time simply because of who they're not, rather than as opposed to who they are.
No, and I think that's a valid thing, Davey. I think where we sit right now is probably just a recognition that this job, while it's appealing to all of us as fans, I suspect has been less and less appealing to the wider footballing world, because if you look at it objectively, it's been a managerial graveyard for the past few years. We've had 4 managers in 4 years now, and none of them have lasted longer than a year. You know, Gio, who took us to a European final, binned. And then I think we've also got the thing where someone like Danny Rohl, who has been a good coach under other managers, we've had one of those as well. We had someone who was a very good coach under a manager, less successful when they're the front man in Michael Beale. So it's going to be an interesting one, Kenny, and I think that's why we've had other names closer to the Scottish game linked. Talking about Stephen Robinson and Derek McInnes, who obviously know the league, know what it's like at Rangers, but you could probably argue that those two find themselves in a better position right now, staying where they are, than coming and being Rangers manager right now.
Oh yeah, again, the jury's out on those two as well. The kind of natural way to look is towards Derek McInnes, because he's an ex-player, he knows the club, he's done very well over the years, without being some kind of miracle worker. I know he's got Hearts sitting at the top of the table, but you know, he started at St Johnstone, bombed at Bristol City, I believe it was, if I remember right, came back up the road. Aberdeen did okay up there, but should have probably done better than he did. Kilmarnock he did quite well with, to be fair to him. I thought bringing him out of the Championship and getting him into Europe is pretty decent. And he started well at Hearts, and he's at an age where I think, for me, ideally at this moment in time, it's the kind of age that I'd like to see the Rangers manager be. And I don't want to see that young person. Rangers do, we've discussed this, the three of us, that before, Davey, as well, that we need a figurehead at this moment in time. We really do. We need a leader of men. So I can understand that one. Robinson deservedly is a name that's been kind of picked out because of the job he's done. He did a good job at Motherwell, and he's done a cracking job at St Mirren. However, I don't think either of them are ideal. I was it you? I think it was you that asked me on. No, Scott, it was, I beg your pardon, that asked me on Friday, you know, who would be my choice, and I said, well, probably Derek McInnes. But looking at it now, the strong rumour today or tonight that we've approached Kevin Muscat, the reason I said that on Friday was because I was fully under the impression we hadn't even approached Kevin Muscat, and now that apparently we have approached Kevin Muscat, which, as I say, shows the bin fire it is, because they've had no clue. They have literally went, we're going to go and get Steven Gerrard, not got them, and not known what to do. So for me, it probably would be Muscat because of the success he's had more than anything else. And it might shut one of our mates up, Andrew.
mean, if nothing else, that's a great reason to go for Muscat, just to keep Chris happy for 3 days or so. Then you get unhappy about something else, but, small wins. I think on the face of it, that's kind of where I'm at. Muscat, out of all the names who have been mentioned, is the one that kind of excites me the most, I guess, because he's achieved more in the game and because he's proven that he can win, not necessarily within Scotland, but in Scotland's its own little weird fishbowl. And McInnes and Robinson haven't won a great deal. I mean, McInnes managed to get a Scottish Cup, I think about the 7th or 8th time of asking, just this past season. But beyond that, there's limited success in terms of shiny things being delivered. And ultimately, as Rangers fans, that's going to be all that we want to see. Muscat does have a track record of delivering that. So I think ultimately, Davey, it doesn't matter who the name is. If we don't think the structure's being good enough, then that's going to be a factor. We're never going to care as Rangers fans what the structure is, who the person is, because if they're winning, that's the most important thing, right?
Absolutely. I've just got this horrible fear that we can't make our mind up. We drift on with a caretaker for a while. We've got this big semi-final coming up in a few weeks. I don't want to go to Hampden without the future head coach, stroke manager in the dugout. We've got to get it sorted out well before that. Get bad memories of caretakers at Hampden. I don't want any more of them. The structure's not going to change. So we can sit here and we can talk about it and we can sit about how we want figureheads and how we want managers. The new owners have put a new structure and they're not going to rip it up after 5 months. It's going to stay. We're going to get a head coach. So we need to get our head around that. So what's the best head coach we can get? I don't know if it's Kevin Muscat. And I don't even know if we can get him before the Chinese season finishes, which could be a problem as well, because I think it's only got about a couple of months to go, is it? Can we get him before then?
I think.
Is that a month?
Yeah, end of November. So, timing-wise, could be interesting. But
yeah.
And definitely riding it a little close for the semi-final for sure, Davey.
Absolutely. You never know. Maybe there's another name out there that we haven't even thought of yet. Who knows? I mean, I've said for the last few weeks that Frank Lampard's the best candidate out there, but because I think he's been a head coach at Chelsea, he's been a head coach at Coventry, he's got all kinds of experience, he's got gravitas, he's got leadership, but I just think we've missed the boat with him. Unfortunately, I just can't see it happening now that he's got a club and a team that look as if they've got a chance at getting in the English Premier League. I think we've missed the boat with him. And I must admit, I've got the feeling we've missed the boat with Derek McInnes as well. Whether you think he's the right man or not, I just think he's landed at a club now who're investing a lot of money, who've got a lot of momentum behind them. I just don't know if he'd leave that to come into the absolute shit show that we are at the moment. I just don't know if he would do it. He turned us down once before, didn't he? I just don't know if he would want to do that. As I've said already, I've looked at the comments as they've been coming in. The one thing that we can all agree on is that we're not all agreed on who we want. I think no matter what name gets thrown in, there's going to be a pile of comments on the side of your screen here that's going to be saying, don't want him, don't want him, don't want him. I think the new owners are in an incredibly difficult position because no matter who they put in, they're going to be up against it. And Kenny's right. They're not going to get another chance to get this right. I think this absolutely has to be the right one. And I'll go back again as to why that is. Why it is because they made such a monumental arse of the first one. And the Russell Martin appointment is going to hang over them for as long as we don't win things, as long as the squad doesn't get any better. It's going to be all down to that. Do I think they'll get it right? I don't know, because I'm not like, in my own head, I don't even know what right is. I don't, because every name that comes up, I can think there's something wrong with it. So good luck to them. The one thing they can do if they want to get the fans on side, regardless of the head coach, is start to have a look at the chief executive and the sporting directors input over the last few months, because if they aren't asking questions about that, then they are seriously lacking in what they should be doing to run our football club.
Yeah, I think, as you say, Davey, regardless of who the choice is, and we don't know. Stevie's away on his holidays at the moment, slacking, taking it easy, because, someone's got to hold down the fort. I don't believe there's any truth in your Das sells Avon being asked, Jamie, but thank you for asking. Yeah, we find ourselves in this position, as you say, Davey, because there's been a poor decision made. And I think that is why the ire has turned towards the ownership, why it's turned towards Farewell and Patrick Stewart, because folk haven't bought into this model so far, because so far all they've seen is Russell Martin getting appointed and us sitting 8th in the league and not exactly looking comfortable there either, Kenny. So it's clear that the boards need to get a hold of this process. They need to identify who it is that they want to get. They need to find their man, and they need to get them in ASAP. Or at the very least, if it's someone who you might have to wait until the 22nd of November to finish up their league, if they're currently in employment, then fine. But that needs to be communicated out. They need to get that lined up, and they need to communicate with the fan base. It's a tough road to hoe, but unfortunately, this is part of the job when you decide to take over a football club like Glasgow Rangers. The pressure's there. The rewards are phenomenal, because if you deliver success, you'll be a legend. If you don't, then you're under pressure, and you'll start feeling it.
Everybody at Rangers is under pressure. They're always under pressure, but at this moment in time, the pressure is like nothing I've ever noticed before. And it goes back to what I've been harking on about for about a year on this podcast, Andrew. I've been saying it for a long, long time, and I'm sure Davey is similar, where what we've went through over the last 15, 20 years, and it is as long as that now, 17 years, 2008, way back to then, when all the uncertainty started. Rangers fans have no tolerance for all this at the moment. They just don't. There's no patience left. There is a real frustration that is just boiling over all the time. And, we've had, I don't know how many it is since 2012, about 15 managers or something crazy, including interims. It's a basket case of a football club at this minute in time. There is just no escaping it. And I think a lot of that is to do with mismanagement at the very highest level of our football club. And that's where, when we see this happening, when there's supposed to be this brand new era and everybody's looking forward to new owners with a bit of money and a little bit of clout and understanding of sport and football behind them. And we've watched this since July and shook our heads, giving it. None of us can believe what we're watching, and that is the problem. We can't get our heads around this. Therefore, when the minute that happens, obviously we didn't want Martin to start with. We told everybody, anybody that, and again, it's something I've said before, but anybody was telling him, don't think Russell Martin will work here. His style of football really doesn't suit to Scottish football. They ignored that. I agree with Davey. I don't think Danny Rohl plays the same style of football or anything like that. But again, it's just, there's nothing about finishing 12th or 13th, whatever it was, with Sheffield Wednesday that makes me think he should be lined up to be Rangers head coach. Absolutely nothing. And that's no disrespect to him, and he might well prove me wrong if he gets it, and I hope he does. But I just don't see that. The issue with these owners at this minute in time, Andrew, is that because of, again, what Davey said there, they made such an absolute bollock of the summer. They must get this right. They have to get this appointment nailed on as best as you can. You can never be guaranteed with these things, but as best they can, they have to get this nailed on. That's where Gerrard, I think, was the perfect candidate to bridge the gap for what they're trying to do this next 3 or 4 years, but building infrastructures and cultures and making the club this brand new entity of super football or whatever it is that their vision is, right? That you need that regardless to the guy being a head coach or not, he has to be a figurehead for our football club, because trust me, when he goes out at interviews, that's what he's regarded by Rangers fans as, is that figurehead. He is the one that we will seek to listen to and to understand. And if we don't, like with Russell Martin, it just filters up and down the way. And that's the problem that I have now that with Rangers, that we're in this eternal cycle where, like the gerbil on a wheel, we can't get off it, and we need to find a way of getting off it. And that's where these owners are under big pressure, Andrew, to get this right. For me, they really are.
Yeah, I think Kenny's right in that the goodwill, the credit, if you like, that came in from coming in and taking over the football club, Davey, you've lost a lot of that now because of the Russell Martin appointment and because of the ill will that's been allowed to build up as a result of this. So, massively important to get this appointment right, but much like every summer transfer window seems to be, it's the most important one since the last one. They're all important, ultimately. And the thing is, I do not think that the fan base are that far gone. But whoever it is, whether it's Rohl, whether it's Muscat Mania, whoever it may be, whoever comes in will get the backing of the fans initially. And if they can win stuff, and if they can demonstrate that there's a plan, like Gerrard did at the start of his tenure, like someone like Clement did at the start of his, then the fans will buy in. It's when things start going wrong and when the wheels start falling off for whatever reason, then that's when the fans will turn. So the fans are prepared to give patience, I think, but it's much less than I think you would have had in the summer when it was a blank slate. But the pressure's always there. You want to be Rangers manager, there's always going to be pressure. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens next.
Yeah, we played in United on Saturday. If Steven Gerrard had been appointed, we'd have had a 50,000 crowd, Ibrox would have been bouncing, and he would have got excused a few bad results at the start, I think. Even if it didn't immediately turn around, I just think there'd be this feel-good factor that would have helped carry us along a little bit. But it's not going to be Steven Gerrard. And I think we need to move past, get rid of this jilted lovers type stuff, and we just need to move on, I think. But whoever it is, I'm willing to bet now Ibrox will not be full, regardless of who it is. And I'm also willing to bet that, yes, we'll cheer them onto the park, and yeah, we'll give them every support, but I don't think we'll show them any patience, unfortunately. Actually, I was looking at the hospitality website this morning because I was thinking, I wonder if the packages have all sold out for the United because people would have thought Gerrard was coming. There's 7 different hospitality packages available at Ibrox in any game. Do you know how many have sold out for Saturday? 1. There's still 6 of them still getting sold. What's this? 5 days before the game for a Saturday 3:00 game against Dundee United. The fans, I think, have stopped paying good money. I think they want to see what's going to happen next. Will they still show loyalty to the club? Will they give the new manager, new head coach initial support? Yes, but I don't think they're willing to go the extra mile for them at the moment. I don't think they're willing to blindly follow the way that historically we always have. Which I think is one of the reasons, and other reasons when Kenny talking about having to get this right, because I think the Martin decision, which I keep going back to, has cost Rangers an absolute fortune. fortune financially. Not just in ticket sales, like the cup ties, which were way down in what you would usually expect. Hospitality packages way down. That's 5 defeats in a row in Europe with all the prize money we didn't get. I don't know how much it comes to, but it must be multi-millions that the Americans probably had factored into the accounts that aren't there. So from a football point of view, they need to get it right, absolutely, because the most important thing is challenging for trophies, winning games consistently week after week, absolutely. But the spin-off from doing that is that you fill Ibrox every week, you fill the hospitality suites every week, the commercial sponsors all pile in wanting to be part of it, and the millions get in the bank, you can afford better players, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know who it's going to be. I really do wish I had the faintest idea. I don't. If people are coming on this podcast thinking we've got some inside track, we absolutely don't. Let's not pretend. But whoever it is, good luck to them, because they're going to have to hit the ground running. They're going to have to get bums back on seats inside Ibrox again and get the support actually positive, because it feels ages since the support's been positive about things. I mean, let's be honest, Rangers have stuck to life at us for the last few months. We've got to hope that whoever it is can see the way. I'll go back to when we appointed Alec McLeish. Alec McLeish had a dreadful win percentage. He had never won anything as a manager before. He had won plenty as a player, but he'd never won anything as a manager, or anything significant as a manager. A lot of people didn't want him, didn't think he was fit to be a Rangers manager after the likes of Walter Smith and Dick Advocaat. But look what he did. But he hit the ground running. See, I think he didn't lose for about 20 games or something like that at the start of his tenure, and he get things rolling again. Whoever it is, I just hope they can have a start like that, because if they have, momentum's a great thing in football, and you never know where it could take us.
I think that's where we're at, in that you can come in with philosophical ideas about how to play football or that kind of thing. Ultimately, you need to come in and start getting results. Where we sit in the league table is not acceptable right now. How we've performed over the last 17 games, and let's be honest, longer than that, hasn't been acceptable either. So we need to see an immediate upturn, and I think it comes down to that manager. If they feel up for that challenge, if they feel like they can do this, whoever it is coming in needs to be doing the business, and they need to do it quickly, Kenny. I appreciate that tonight has not been particularly fun, but all we can ever do is talk about what Rangers are giving us, and unfortunately it's not been particularly fun stuff from Rangers for the past few weeks, months. But we're going to be there. We're going to be keeping you guys up to date. We will be back on Wednesday for sure with a podcast talking about all the latest stuff. I'm seeing little whispers and rumours going on in the group chat right now about what potentially could be happening, but we will keep you updated. As ever, stay tuned to all our socials, and we'll keep you guys up to date with everything that's happening, managerial appointments and anything else of that nature, all the rumours, all the talks, everything like that. We'll keep you guys up to date. We want to be talking about positive stuff. We have said that time and time again. We would love to be talking on here about happy things. I'm sure Davey would find a way to bring the mood down. But, that's because it's never going to be as good as when Jock Wallace was in charge. So, can't ever be. That being said, folks, it has been a pleasure talking to you guys tonight. Kenny, I'm glad your laptop battery lasted this long. Thank you for joining us, mate.
Yeah, it's working again, mate. No, thank you. Listen, there was a few comments there kind of criticising us a little bit about bigging up Steven Gerrard, and I just feel sometimes people hear what they want to hear. We're not bigging Steven Gerrard up. That's your board that's done that. That's your owners that have done that. We're only here to talk about it. We can't do anything else but discuss this subject. But I do agree, we need to move on. There's no point in concerning ourselves with this anymore. Disappointed as I am personally, because I did think he was going to get the job. But Listen, thanks for having me on, Andrew. I really enjoyed that, and yeah, I'll go and check this cat out.
No, it's a nice change of pace for me to be here on the Monday. Stevie's riding his roller coasters, so can't be here podding as well. Davey, as ever, mate, pleasure to talk to you. Always good to get some much needed perspective on things. So yeah, appreciate you, mate. Thank you.
You're just saying I'm the old guy, aren't you? I would say it's a pleasure, but it's good to talk about Rangers. I just wish we were a bit more positive. If I can just very quickly answer one question that came up, it said, do I think that we can go on a winning run with this group of players? Do you know what? That group of players were being coached by possibly the worst coach I've ever seen in my life. I've got no idea what they're capable of. But what I do know is if we put somebody in charge that knows what they're doing, we've got half a chance because we've got a squad full of international players. Look at how many of them are away on international duty this week. And then you're asking, can they beat Dundee United and Motherwell and St Mirren and Dundee? And of course they flipping well can. So don't lose the faith, but get it right, please, as sooner rather than later. And speak to you again soon.
Indeed. No, I think that's absolutely right. I think the squads have got more to show. And under a different manager, I think they absolutely will. But that remains to be seen. We'll see how we go. Folks, as ever, it's a pleasure to have been joined by you guys tonight. Nearly 6,500 of you guys watching over all three platforms, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. As ever, we appreciate your support so much, especially in these, let's say, less fun times. Let's say challenging times. I mean, it feels like that's all Rangers give us at the moment. But nonetheless, we'll be here. We will keep you guys up to date. Please stay tuned. And if there is any breaking news, then we'll be here to break it. Thank you again for watching, folks. And until we talk to you again, goodbye for now. The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.